Aloha and good morning. Welcome to another Aloha Friday and the Friday before Thanksgiving break. Now, Thanksgiving, I'm going to admit, is one of my favorite holidays. The food, the family, and the football that make up Thanksgiving are among my favorite things. It's also a time of gratitude and a time where I like to kind of think back on the things that I need to be thankful for and can oftentimes take for granted. When my parents moved to Center Grove, I'm sure that one of the things that brought them to this community was the commitment to education that Center Grove Schools has. And now an educator in Center Grove, that's not something that I take lightly. I understand that there are many paths that led students to my classroom, and the least of which is that you moved into the Center Grove area, and it's very likely that when you were looking at moving into our area, the schools was something that you really took into consideration. And so I recognize and appreciate that commitment that you have to education. As a teacher in Center Grove, I realize that sometimes the depth of the resources that are available here can be overwhelming. And so I just wanted to point out there is a parent resource page that we have on the Center Grove webpage. I find it helpful as an educator to continuously check and recheck those things because there's just a lot out there. And it is hard to sometimes keep on top of those things. And so you might take a minute to check out the link, check out some of the resources that are provided through the Center Grove community, and know that I really appreciate the support that I continue to get from parents and your continued commitment to the learning that's taking place in my science classroom. To that end, let's take a look at what's happening this week. So, in science, we're continuing to look at chemical bonding, and now have kind of moved into counting of atoms and those kinds of things. Know that on the assessment, kids will not necessarily need to balance chemical equations. They'll really just have to kind of recognize that a chemical equation is balanced or not balanced. And this is kind of a good example of kind of how we can do some differentiation because there are some examples that I do kind of a challenge level where the kids can balance the equations versus just recognizing whether they're balanced or not balanced. And that is an instructional practice that I use quite a bit, where there's kind of three levels to the instruction that I'm doing. There's the grade level, like the expectation that where the kids need to be. There might be some examples that are below grade level, which kind of work on those kids who aren't quite there yet. And then there's above grade level, as far as really challenging those kids who are meeting the proficiency and then expecting them or challenging them to go a little bit above that. And so that's kind of what the mindset that I like to have, as far as I'm developing instruction. We kind of have those three different levels. In biology this week, we're finishing up DNA. When we come back from break, we're going to talk about RNA and protein synthesis, and then a little bit on some mutations and things like that. And so when we do come back from break, there is going to be NWEA testing along with that. So it's going to be kind of some rapid learning happening those last 3 weeks before Christmas break. So it's kind of coming quick. The end of the semester, December is a pretty rapid month for us because we only have about 3 weeks of actual instructional time, as well as NWEA tests in there, as well as semester exams in there. So I'll provide some more thoughts on how the semester exams are going to go and all that kind of thing. But do know that when we come back from Thanksgiving, we do have NWEA testing in there. So again, thank you so much for everything you do as parents, as caregivers. Please have a wonderful Thanksgiving break. And I hope that you're able to spend time with your family, enjoy some wonderful food, and of course, love that football.